The true secret to building huge legs fast is the 20 rep squat protocol, also known as breathing squats or widowmakers. This training method is steeped in tradition and weight room lore. In hardcore training circles, there's an almost mythical aura surrounding it. Simultaneously, it's both feared and revered. The idea itself is about as old school and gritty as it can be. Take a weight that you can hypothetically only do for 10 reps on the squat, and then once you've reached 10 reps, somehow do 10 more. Do not rack the bar. Instead, take a breath, stand there and rest for a few seconds with the bar on your back, and then do an 11th rep. Then breathe and rest some more, and do a 12th rep. Repeat this process until you've completed 20 gut-wrenching reps. Partway through this set, you'll learn why some people call these breathing squats. If you don't survive the ordeal, then your friends will learn why others call them widowmakers. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoy content like this, then please consider supporting my work by picking up a training program from my website. It's on EnkiriEliteFitness.com. I have over 50 5-star reviews on Google. You can check them out for yourself. And if you do, your gains will thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Now, can this truly be done with a 10 rep max weight? Personally, I think that's a bit of a weight room fallacy because, well, if you can do 20 reps with a weight, then it wasn't really a 10 rep max, was it? I don't really care how much you rested at the top with the weight bearing down on you. Still, the methodology itself isn't really what I want to go in depth on today because that aspect has already been done to death by many others. As the video progresses, I will invariably make a few small recommendations for how to plan and execute a proper training cycle using the 20 rep squat protocol, but mostly I just want to talk about my own personal experiences performing 20 rep squats and the myriad benefits that successfully completing a training cycle with them can confer. And I want to convince you to give the protocol a try for yourself. In many respects, the 20 rep squat program is a rite of passage for anyone who considers themselves a true student of the iron game. You aren't really a part of the club until you have experienced it for yourself. But at the same time, it's not for beginners either. You still have to earn the right to attempt the right. But if you are qualified, then this training protocol can pack size onto your thighs like nothing I have ever experienced before. It will build a level of mental fortitude that's tough to replicate with other means, and it will enhance your general conditioning while also dramatically increasing your core strength and endurance. That is killing a lot of birds with one stone, and it can all be accomplished with just 90 seconds of training per week. The kicker is that it takes a pair of big metaphorical stones of a different sort to push your body across this painful threshold and earn all of these hard-fought accolades. But if you can punch your own ticket, here are the main benefits that will be awaiting you. You will build huge legs, and you will do it very, very quickly. The hypertrophic effect of this training method is like nothing I've ever experienced before. I've been squatting for over 15 years now. I've done it all. I've done front squats, back squats, low bar squats, high bar squats, zombie front squats, pause zombie squats, pause front squats, box squats, tempo squats, eccentric only squats, pin squats, Anderson squats, and more. Pretty much any variation of the barbell squat that you can think of, and I've done it. I've logged more reps and sets and sessions than I can possibly remember. I've squatted 523 pounds raw in powerlifting competition at a body weight of about 160 pounds. I have front squatted 430 pounds. I've zombie squatted 405. I zombie squatted 360 for a set of 4, back squatted 455 for a set of 5, and 400 for a set of 10. I have bottom up squatted 400 on the SSB. I've pushed my heavy singles, my heavy triples, my 5s, my 10s, and every other set rep metric that you can think of. I've done Smolov and I've done Bulgarian. I've squatted once a week, I've squatted 3 times a week, and I've even squatted 9 times a week. Yes, 9 times a week. I think maybe even 10. I have squatted to maximum for 90 consecutive days before. Basically, I've done it all, I've tried it all, and pretty much that whole time I had 25-inch thighs. In fact, for years and years, I had 25-inch thighs. Then I tried something a little bit different. An old method that I had dismissed a long time ago and had not touched in about 10 years. The 20 rep squat protocol. I had dismissed the protocol previously out of naivete. I had no business attempting it when I first did so, and so I wasn't able to derive the true benefits of the protocol back when I first attempted it. But I'm very glad that after all those years, I decided to question myself and revisit that initial conclusion. So my second time around, I was much more experienced and much stronger, and I started my second go around on the protocol using 315 pounds, which is 60% of my 1 rep max. My original goal was just to hit this weight for a set of 20 reps and then kind of go from there, just kind of wing it. It took me a couple weeks, and I managed to hit 315 pounds for 22 reps. A couple weeks after that, I hit 325 for 20 reps. And then a couple weeks after that, I hit 335 pounds for 20 reps. Along the way, I also hit 350 for a set of 18 before I finally decided to terminate my 20 rep squat experiment. All told, I did the protocol for something like 9 or 10 weeks, but out of curiosity, I measured my legs at the 8-week mark. I was prompted to measure them at this point because they'd been 25 inches for so long that the visual size difference after 8 weeks of high rep squatting had become staggering to me when looking in the mirror. And it turns out that they had ballooned to 26 inches. After probably 6+ years of having the same circumference thighs, they had blown up by a full inch in just 8 weeks. They had grown so quickly that I could literally see and feel the difference. Now, during the protocol, I squatted just 1 time per week, and I did just 1 working set of squats per training session, aiming to get 20 reps with whatever weight I was using that week. I also missed 1 week of training during my first 8 weeks of the program. So from the time I started the program to the time I measured my thighs, I had done just 7 sets of squats in total. Just 7 sets. Each set lasted approximately 90 seconds. That means that in just 630 seconds, or 10.5 total minutes of cumulative training time, I increased the size of my thighs by 1 full inch after years and years of having these same size thighs. Yes, it was painful, and yes, it was incredibly difficult to get through the training sessions, and yes, I was very, very sore for days afterwards. But if you're looking to add some meat to your legs, this is probably the single best training method in existence to do so quickly and naturally. For an experienced squatter such as myself with large thighs for his frame, to experience this sort of rapid hypertrophy sans steroids is nothing short of remarkable. You will become tougher than rhinoceros skin. There is something special about the mental aspect of this style of training. The thing is, it takes a special kind of crazy to push yourself through a set like this because every single rep, from the first rep all the way to the last, has its own way of feeling incredibly difficult. Embarking on one of these sets, from the minutes and hours leading up to it, to knocking out that first rep and staring down the barrel at 19 more of them that can only get harder from there, creates a level of mental stress that must be experienced in order to be appreciated. The problem is that no one is holding a gun to your head while you do it. If someone was holding a gun to your head, it would be easy because you wouldn't have a choice. It would be do or die. But the problem is that you do have a choice. If you hit 10 and rack the bar, nothing happens. The world keeps turning, you keep breathing, and you go to work the next day like nothing happened because there was no physical gun to your head. Except there was a metaphorical gun to your head, and something did happen. You bitched out, and you know it. And unless you want to feel that nagging, gnawing, visceral, internal shame coursing through your veins for an entire week until you get a chance for redemption, then you will not bitch out. You will force yourself to push through the set, every single grueling rep. The bar will bear down on you with every second that passes. Your breathing will become labored. Your legs will begin to shake. Your back will want to fold over like an accordion with every passing second. You will swear that gravity is actually becoming stronger and that time is slowing down. But it's all in your head. It's all in your head because anybody can rest there for a few seconds, gather themselves, take a couple recovery breaths, and complete one more measly rep. The problem is that your brain tells you that 20 reps is just too many reps, even though your body is more than capable of completing the work. But your brain is lazy and your brain is lying to you because it wants you to avoid this sort of hard work. If, however, for this brief period of time, this 90 seconds of hell, you can ignore what your brain is telling you, silence that little voice inside your head until the work is completed, then you will increase the threshold of what your mind considers difficult work. Suddenly, things that sounded difficult before won't sound so difficult anymore. Hard becomes medium, and medium becomes easy. The bar is raised, and mental toughness and fortitude are cranked up to new heights. Like I said, it takes a special kind of crazy to force yourself to push through something that's so damn difficult, but at the same time so damn optional. But if you can find your special place and make it to the finish line, you will be rewarded with a sort of gritty mental toughness, a fortitude of self that many, many people seek, but few ever truly find. Just remember that next week you have to do it again, and you have to do it with more weight too. Lactic acid can no longer burn you. When I first embarked on the protocol, my legs would begin to scream at me somewhere around the halfway point. The lactic acid had begun to accumulate, and it would only get worse with each subsequent rep from that point forward. Standing there with the bar on my back and taking a few recovery breaths didn't do very much to alleviate this issue either. Once the process had begun, it was pretty much all downhill from there, and the quality of the remaining reps would suffer because of it. The good news is, after just a few short weeks, my body began to adapt to and overcome this little problem. My legs would still be burning during the set, to be sure, but they would burn a little bit less than before, and it would take just a little bit longer to get to that point. This turned a very, very uncomfortable experience into one that was slightly less uncomfortable overall. I like to believe this allowed me to push these sets a little bit harder during my last few weeks of the program. Pushing these sets harder means 1 or 2 or 3 more reps in the face of mounting fatigue, which means more muscle, more strength, more endurance, and a more potent overall training effect in the long run as you grow more skilled at pushing these high rep squats to greater and greater depths. Your lungs and your core will become bulletproof. The final takeaway from my foray into the 20 rep squat protocol was the conditioning effect on both the core and on the lungs. In regards to the latter, my first few weeks on the program were brutal. I was using 315 pounds and hitting it for somewhere between 18 to 20 reps. And by the end of the set, I was gasping for air. My lungs had been battered and crushed, and all I wanted to do was lie on the floor for a few minutes and recover. So that's what I did. Typically for at least 10 minutes, I just sat around and waited to feel better, huffing and puffing the whole time, before eventually, reluctantly, resuming the remainder of my workout. Contrast that with the final few weeks of the program where I hit 335 for a set of 20, and I walked away after it like nothing had happened. The contrast was stark, and like the rapid change in the size of my thighs, damn near impossible not to notice. The thing is, it's pretty easy to create a conditioning effect in the weight room, but it's not easy to create a conditioning effect while simultaneously creating an ultra-potent strength and hypertrophy effect. Yet the 20 rep squat protocol accomplishes all of this. That makes it very unique and incredibly useful given the right circumstances. Lastly, it's also important to note the conditioning effect that takes place around the core musculature. It's no small feat to support a heavy barbell on the back of your shoulders for 1.5 or even up to 2 minutes. It's even more impressive a feat to do this while squatting that barbell 20 times. Consider the work that the muscles in the back and torso must perform simply to support this weight for that amount of time, as well as to do it while the torso angle is constantly changing from upright to inclined over and over again. The lats and upper back must remain braced the whole time or you'll collapse forward. The erectors must remain locked into a position of rigid extension or the spine will begin to flex. The hips must work hard to keep you balanced and stable. And all these muscles must do all this work the entire time the bar is on your back. And as you fatigue, they must work progressively harder to continue to adequately perform the jobs they were already performing. I also think the heavy breathing, with all that weight bearing down on you for so long, also comes into play as a core strengthener as well, but I'll save that theory for another day. Like I said at the beginning of this piece, I wanted to talk about my experiences on the 20 rep squat protocol. There are plenty of pieces dedicated to how to execute the 20 rep squat program and how to set things up appropriately, but there are not so many pieces explaining exactly what sorts of benefits you can expect from successfully completing this protocol as well as how much of a hell it really is. It isn't just a hard program, though. It isn't just hard for the sake of being hard. It's also one that is very much worth the effort. And while building a pair of monster legs is the primary benefit you can expect from it, there are plenty of other ancillary benefits as well that are certainly incredibly welcome side effects. However, what really struck me most of all wasn't the improvements that I made during my time on this program, because many of these improvements are very logical adaptations to this sort of work. What really struck me most of all was just how quickly the adaptations came on. Over the course of 10 weeks, I completed just 10 sets of squats and I spent less than 15 total minutes under the bar. And during that short span of time, I experienced all the aforementioned benefits discussed in this video. That is pretty damn impressive. There is probably not any other training method in existence that can do all of these things at once, let alone this quickly. That reserves the 20 rep squat program a spot in the Iron Hall of Fame. It is a brutal, time-tested method that rewards you very, very quickly for your efforts, perhaps even disproportionately to your efforts. The kicker is, most people don't have the nuts required to chase that carrot and become a member of this elite club. Do you?